Hi troops, Harry Veteran Dave here. A happy new year to you all. This morning I'm taking a walk along the coastline between Shoeburyness and Southend-on-Sea. I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about an old wreck. No, I'm not talking about Harry Veteran Mike. I'm talking about one of the many shipwrecks that lay behind me in the Thames estuary. One of the most famous wrecks here, and considered by some as the most dangerous shipwreck in the world, is the SS Richard Montgomery. The Montgomery was an American Liberty cargo ship that set sail from Hog Island in Philadelphia in August 1944, loaded with over 6,000 tons of munitions. Her destination? Here in the Thames estuary, where she was to form part of a convoy sailing to Cherbourg in France to resupply Allied troops. On the 20th of August 1944, she was ordered by the harbour master at HMS Lee, based here on the end of Southend's iconic pier, to lay anchor on the north edge of Sheerness Middle Sands. Tragically, she dragged anchor and ran aground just 250 metres from the Medway approach channel in 24 feet of water. As the tide went out, the Montgomery broke her back on the sandbanks. She's still out there, about 1.5 miles from Sheerness and 5 miles from here in Southend-on-Sea. A salvage operation was launched to try and retrieve as much of the much needed munitions as possible. This went on until September, until our hull split and our cargo holds flooded. The Montgomery was abandoned with 1,400 tons of explosives still on her. This included 286 2,000-pound high explosive blockbuster bombs, 4,439 1,000-pound bombs, 1,925 500-pound bombs, 2,815 fragmentation and cluster bombs. She's also laden with various booster charges, pyrotechnic signals and white phosphorus bombs. Never too cold for an ice cream by the seaside. Now you would think, because she's been under the sea for so long, her bombs can't still be dangerous, right? Well, apparently that's not the case. Multiple surveys of the ship have decreed that the ordnance could still be detonated through instances of collision, capsize, or significant movement of the wreck as it decays on the seabed. The Montgomery is classed as a dangerous wreck and has a large exclusion zone around her. However, she is perilously close to one of the UK's busiest shipping lanes and has been subject to several near misses, including by a Danish fuel tanker that had to take last-minute evasive action. A fuel tanker. Recent surveys have found that her 3 masts are dangerously eroded and are in danger of collapsing into the hull, which could potentially trigger the 1,400 tons of bombs on board. A contract has been offered out to any company brave enough to come in and attempt to remove those 3 masts. A whopping £5 million is being offered. I'm sure the Harry veterans could negotiate a better deal. Well, it turns out that the contract has already been awarded, and the iconic masts that have marked her watery grave for almost 80 years are due to be removed later this year. So, if the worst was to happen and the wreck exploded, what would be the effects? Scientists predict it would be the largest non-nuclear explosion the world has ever seen. It would throw up a 1,000-foot wide column of water, shrapnel and mud up to 2 miles into the air and shatter every window in a 50-kilometre radius. A tsunami between 6 and 13 metres high would go shooting up the Thames, causing devastating flooding to Essex, Kent and London. Just across the water here is the Isle of Grain, which is the location of Europe's largest gas storage facility. It is feared that if the explosion caused damage to the gas storage tanks, it could cause an even larger secondary explosion. It is predicted that loss of life is highly likely. So why have the bombs not been removed from the wreck? It's impossible to tell the condition of the munitions on board. The cluster bombs are all stored, their detonators in place, and are likely to be extremely volatile. A salvage operation was attempted on a similar wreck that sunk off the coast of Folkestone in 1946. In 1967, an attempt was made to remove the munitions from the SS Kiels. It is estimated that approximately 100 tonnes of her munitions exploded. The shockwave could be felt up to 5,000 miles away and measured 4.5 on the Richter scale. Buildings 4 miles away in Folkestone were damaged by the explosion. That was 100 tonnes. The Montgomery has 1,400 tonnes of explosive cargo on board. Authorities have adopted the leave alone and monitor approach for nearly 80 years. However, recent surveys have advised that this is no longer an option. So, most inhabitants of the Essex and Kent coast are going about their lives peacefully unaware that a potential time bomb is ticking away just a few miles off the coast here in the Thames estuary. Those of us that do know, we continue to hope and pray that the Montgomery continues to lie peacefully in a watery grave and doesn't decide to unleash her deadly cargo upon us. Thanks for listening. For now, HV Dave out. To the pub. Cheers.